templates are important because they allow you to not only have a look and graphics and colors and matching fonts and so forth. So that's part of what you could get with what we call designs or themes. But the templates also provide you with a possibility to have a pre-set up generic presentation that might help you. So if you need to set up an orientation presentation for somebody, and here's an employee orientation, you want to see, well, maybe there's something that I can use here. You can go through and see they're giving you not only a look to the presentation, but here's a pre-set up suggestion for what you might include in that type of a presentation. And if you think, oh, that's a good start for me, you can say create, and it downloads it to your machine. And you can, this one happens to have 10 slides. You can add any slide you want. You can delete any slides you want. You can modify anything in here because it's, as I said, pretty generic. So it's a good starting point. Rather than start from a blank screen, you can start from something that's already set up professionally to show you, in this case, how you can do an employee training orientation. So that's the idea of a template. So as I said, you cannot apply this after you've already have a presentation. This has to be something that you start with. Okay, I am going to now switch to talking about master slides or SlideMasters. And SlideMasters are something that exists in every presentation, whether you know what they are or not, because they sit behind the presentation as kind of a boilerplate. So if you wanted to include something like a logo on every slide of your 50-slide presentations, instead of having to do copy and paste 50 times, you could put it on the SlideMaster. And the SlideMaster is accessed by the View tab because it gives you all different ways to view your presentation. And here are master views. And I'm going to say SlideMaster, which has a series of layouts and what each of the slides in the layout would look like in this particular presentation. And at the top of those series of layouts is kind of the master, what they call it a grid slide master. And this one means that if you put something on this slide master, it's going to filter down to virtually all of the others, with a few exceptions, because the title slide always looks different, and a blank slide or a custom slide looks different. But for the most part, what you put here will filter down. So I'm going to close out of the master and do an example for you. Here's a presentation that has a logo. It's all about coffee, and it has a coffee logo here. And I'm going to just do a regular copy of that little logo. And then I'm going to go into my SlideMaster, which, by the way, I'm going to place on my quick access toolbar so I don't have to keep going into view. And so when I go to that main grid master and I right click and I say paste, it pastes that logo in the same place on the same size, but now I'm going to modify it a little. So maybe I don't want it to be quite so big on all of my slides. I'm going to put it over there. And when I close out of my SlideMaster, you can see that it now exists in that place on many of these slides. Now, some of these are custom created, so you won't see it. But notice, on something like this, it's not quite in the right position or it's too large, but although I can select my title and I can select my placeholder for text and for the picture, I cannot select this because it's not placed on this layer, so to speak. It's on an underlying layer that is on the SlideMaster. So if I wanted to correct that, I have two choices. One, I can go back to the SlideMaster and modify it, the size, the placement, which I will do. The other choice is to say, okay, I want to format that background of that slide, and I want to hide the background graphics. But that's going to hide all the background graphics. You don't have a choice of which ones you can hide. So that's the way, that's the way it works. So if I go back, and now that I have it on my quick access toolbar, I go back to SlideMaster and to the main grid master here. I can make it smaller, and I can move it down a little bit. And now, when I go out of the slide. I could fix it up a little more, but that's the idea. You can see that it moved. But it will put it in the same place and the same size on all of these slides. So that is the idea. Okay. Now, if you can tell, by the way, what layouts each of the slides are when you select them and you go into the Home tab. If you click on Layout, it will actually tell you this one is the title and content. If I click on this one and go into keeping that on there, okay. And if I go into Layout here, now I can see this is a blank, which is why the little logo didn't show up, because it doesn't work on the blanks. It doesn't filter down on the blanks. This one is a to content, and so forth. So you can tell which slide has which layout if you'd like to find that out. Now, other things that you can control on the master include text and alignment and so forth. So if I went into the slide master and again went to the grid master, because I want to affect at least most of my slides, and I click on the text, the title placeholder, and I say, okay, I'm going to change that to a different color, I'm going to make it larger, I'm going to change the font. That's going to be way too big, so let's make it a little smaller. Okay, and then I'm going to, I can either exit the slide master, or I can just say, give me the standard, the normal view, and that will put me back in there. And you can see that on most of the slides, it has changed the title to the red centered and the larger, different type of font. So it's many, many things that you can control on that. Now, we also have themes or designs that are helping to make our slideshow look consistent. And you always see on the bottom, you typically would see what the theme is, but it wasn't checked. Okay, so now I can see this theme just says grid. If I decide I want to create a different theme here, I can go and pick another theme. Let's say we pick this one, at least the same color. And if I just click on it, it's changed all my slides to use that theme. Okay, and let's say I undo that, because I don't want all the slides, I only want some of the slides or one of the slides. So if I want, I can right click on the theme and just say apply to selected slide. So I can do one, or I can select more than one and do that. So the theme can also be modified for one or for more than one slide. And if you were to customize the theme, for instance, I changed the look of the titles, I could change the colors and so forth, and you then wanted to keep that theme as your custom theme, you could say save current theme, and give it a name, and you can see that it places it in a templates folder in a document themes subfolder. So you can create that, and that's where, if you created your own template, where that template would go. So I mentioned before about templates, and what I neglected to tell you, I said using their templates by going to File, New. We have all of these templates, but you can also create your own. So if you have a presentation that you have set up and it's for a quarterly sales report and you're going to do it every quarter, you might want to take that presentation and delete whatever is dynamic in there, whatever changes, and keep whatever is static. And in addition to just saving it for that particular, as a presentation for that particular time frame, you can go to Save As, and what you might want to do, is give it a name, like quarterly sales, and the key here would be to save it not as a presentation, which it normally does when you save, but to save it as a template, which is a POTX file. Okay, so and notice that it automatically is going to put it in the custom templates folder. So that's what you would want to do if you are going to save a template for yourself. So if I said to this if I call this a custom temp, and then I saved it, whoops, typing isn't so good now, okay, and I saved it as a template, it's going to go there. Now, when you save it as a template, it may be that you want to delete certain items in here that would be changeable, that you may want to delete certain slides, but it would still give you a good, easy way to go and get started on a new one, okay? And if you went to here, to your personal, when you went to File New, instead of using these categories of templates, if you went to the personal one, that would find your templates that you created. Okay, so let's talk about some other things that you can do in terms of the master slide. In addition to having, if I go to SlideMaster, in addition to having this set of master slides, and what it does is it gives you one for each of the layouts, and it actually tells you this one, for instance, the to content is being used by 3 slides, and it gives you the numbers. Some of them are not being used at all by any slides. Here, a blank one is being used by 3 slides. So it gives you all of the layouts. But you might want to, you might be presenting 2 new services or 3 new products, and you want each one to have its own look, a distinguishing look. So you might want to add another master slide set with a different theme to it. So you can say insert master slide, okay, and this gives you another set of SlideMasters. And if you wanted to put a theme on them, I'll pick something that looks very different. It now gives me a set with that theme. I don't really need this blank set, so I can delete it. And now I am left, because you can delete any of these that you're not using. You might only want to have 2 slides in there for that other set. You might not be using, for instance, these slides, so you can delete those layouts and you can be left with the ones that you do need. But now I have 2 different layouts, 2 different SlideMaster sets with their different layouts. So if I go back to my presentation and I decide that I want to take this slide and I want to place the other layout on it, when I go to layouts, notice I have the layouts, the SlideMasters for both layouts. And if I want to use that, let's say this is a to content, I can do that. So you can have as many sets as you want, but obviously it would get a little confusing and a little crazy if you had more than that. So I'm going to undo it because it looks kind of weird. Okay, so then you can use either set when you want to. All right, I'm going to go to a different presentation now, one that is really doesn't have any theme it's using just Office theme, which is just white background, black text that just has the fonts. And so you can see most of this, looking at these, are just bulleted text, and most of them are pretty standard, 1 level or 2 level bullets, or maybe 2 columns with the bullets and so forth. There is one that was done a little bit differently, and this is really not a regular bulleted text, it's just a text box. So what I'm trying to illustrate is that the bullets, if you wanted to change how the bullets looked, I'm sure you're all aware that you could select either the 1 bullet or select multiple bullets and go to Home and change the bullets. And that would change the bullets on that slide or in that one particular bulleted item. And if you had, for instance, multi-level bullets like this, you wouldn't be able to do it all at once unless you wanted both levels to be the same. You would have to do this one and then this one and then this one and so forth. So to make this a lot easier and a lot faster, you can change the bullets look in the SlideMaster. So if I go to SlideMaster, and again I want to change it for all of them, so I'm going to use this Grid Master on top. If I only wanted to change it in the 2-column one, I would find that layout and change the bullets only there. But I'm going to do it in the overall SlideMaster. So I just have to click anywhere in the first bulleted item, and then just like you would do it in an individual slide, go to your Home, drop down the bullets, pick whatever bullet look you like. I'm going to change the color as well to make it more apparent. So in the bullets and numbering, I'm going to say make it red. Okay, and then I'm going to do it to second level. I'm not going to worry about any levels past that. So let's say I use that, and maybe I also want to make that red. So I'm going to go here, or I can make it blue or anything else. Okay, so I have just changed the look and the color of the bullets. And now I'm going to go back to my normal view, and you can see right away there's the look and the color of the bullets that has been changed. This one, as I mentioned, is not a standard bulleted slide, so it doesn't apply, and so forth. Now you might notice, as I'm noticing, that there's not enough space between the bullet and the text, and I'd like to change that as well for first level, and then perhaps second level does have a bit of space, but we'll take a look at that. So I'm going to go into the SlideMaster. I'm going to go all the way up and pick the overall grid master. And for this, you'd have to have your ruler, just as if you were going to be changing the look on a specific slide, on a single slide. You'd go to View, and you turn on your ruler, because in the ruler, when I click on in the bulleted item, those are your controls for where the margin is and where the tab for the bullet is. So if I just want to create a space between the bullet and the text, I'm going to grab that bottom triangle and drag it over, and that's going to control that space. Now I need to move over the whole second bullet, so I'm going to grab the bottom rectangle, which moves both the first line and the subsequent with it, and then perhaps make a little bit more space. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to return to my normal view, and I think you can see pretty quickly that all of the bullets that are in the standard bulleted text placeholders are changing. And even if I were to create a second level after the fact, it's going to use those bullets. Okay, if I was going to create a new slide, and I'm just going to do a title and content, it also is going to use those bullets. And if I go to a second level, it's going to use that bullet. Now, there may come a time when you would like to have one slide that looks different, like the one I had in the one I have down here that looks different. So if you do, you can select that slide, and I'm going to select that whole bulleted text placeholder, and you can do what we did before and select whatever. Let's say we do check mark. And that has disconnected it from the master. Once you've manually changed it, it will not obey what the master does. And that enables you, therefore, to make certain slide or slides different. So if you've modified something manually, then it's not going to obey what the master does. Okay, so the spacing, the tabs, the bullets, the title, anything that you would like to modify so that everything is going to be consistent and that you're doing it to multiple slides at once can be done on the master slide. So that is a big time saver when you're doing that. Okay. Now, you also can create a custom layout. Let's say you're doing, and this is something you would do in the master. So I'm going to the master, SlideMaster, for this presentation. And let's say I'm going to be creating a lot of slides that have a certain look to them. So I want to insert a particular layout. So I'm going to say insert a layout, and it's just giving me a slide. And on that layout, I'm going to create placeholders. So let's say I need one for a picture that I'm going to put here. And then I need another placeholder for some text that I'm going to put next to the picture over here. And then I need another placeholder for a table that I'm going to put underneath. So this is a little bit of an unusual combination, and that's why perhaps I wanted to make a customized slide look for that. And then what I'd want to do is name it. So I'm going to click in the SlideMaster on Rename, and I'll just put my custom layout. We'll know what that is. And then I will close out of the master view. Now, if I want to put a slide with that layout over here, I can say new slide, and here's my custom layout. And so it creates a slide with just the layouts that I want. So if I'm going to be using that as a way to introduce or give information about each of 3 or 4 products, I've had that, I have that layout already set up. And naturally, this slide looks, this whole slideshow is a little bit very plain because it's, we really haven't applied any theme to it. So we could go to design, and we could go in here, and we could select any kind of theme we want. And notice also I can browse for themes. I want to also mention that all of the themes that you see, when you look at the templates, that these are all additional themes that you can use if you want to. And so anything that I go into here has presentations, but all of these presentations have graphics and color and font themes attached to them that are a little bit different. So you could go into those, if you like this one, you could go into this, and then you could save this as a custom theme. All right, if you like the way this looked, not that I do, just black behind, but this was kind of eye-catching.
Don't want to pick that one out, that's a little black.
You don't want to pick that one out, but, and you can, of course, change the color of it. You might like the theme, but you might want to say, okay, I want to do a variant on that theme, and I want to change the colors. Does that help? Not particularly. Okay, but we could change the format background. But anyway, the point would be you pick one you like, and then you say in the design, save the current theme, and then that becomes a custom theme that you have access to on any of your presentations. Okay, so I will close this one. Okay, and save it. Okay, so if we don't want to pick a custom theme, we can pick one of the themes that are here, and it'll apply it to, I just clicked on it, so it applies it to all, and then it does give you variants, which is interesting for colors, for fonts, for effects, and the fonts are typically a combination of 2, one for titles, and sometimes it's the same font, sometimes it's not. So if I decided I wanted to use a Gothic-looking font, I could. If I decided I want to really be bright, I can. So that's a little bit about the master slides. And I just want to mention, that's a little too bright, isn't it? I just want to mention that we also have masters for not only slides, but for handouts and for notes. And it's particularly important for handouts because when you're giving a presentation to a group of people, if you were to quiz them after they leave the presentation on how much they remember, it's unfortunately very little. But if you give them something in hand that tells them what they saw and they can review, that's very helpful. So if you go to any presentation and you go into the print, in addition to printing slides, you can also, in full-page slides, you can also print handouts. So you can say 2 to a slide, or you can say 3, my favorite, 3 to a slide, because it has the little lines that people can make notes on, or maybe 4 to a slide. Once you get more than that, it gets pretty crowded. So if you wanted to give this out to your clients afterwards, that's great, and it does have a date and a number on it, but you'd probably want to give them the name of your company, the name of the presentation, the name of the presenter, some other information. And so if you wanted to give them other information like that, you could go to Slideshow and you could say, View, and you could say, I want to go to my Handout Master, and notice it's given me the one with the 4 slides because that's the one I chose. And in the header, let me just make this a little bigger so you can see what I'm doing. And let's just say this is the name of this fake company. We can put the name of the company, and we could then put the name here of, presented by, Joe Smith or whatever. I don't know how I typed that. It probably doesn't look very good, but there we go. Sedimus.
Show something.
Okay, so once you've done that and you print it out, they will have that information, or if you prefer to put the name of the presentation, you can, or the product, or whatever. So that would be pretty important, I would think. And if you are creating notes, which you can do down here, so that when the presenter is giving the presentation, they have something to glance down at to remind them of additional facts or questions they want to ask, backup information. You can create notes, and you can make that bigger or smaller, but you also have in the views a notes view, a notes page where you can make it, of course, bigger and put in your notes, but you might want to go to the Notes Master and take this text area where you're going to type notes and make it a whole lot bigger, because you're going to be glancing while you make the presentation, and bolder, and if you want, you can apply bullets to it or whatever. And so once you've done that, if you go back to your normal view, you can see that the notes would get larger, and then that can be printed out for the presenter. And you also have the ability in the Notes Master to put a header and footer on it if you need the name of the presentation or whatever. But this is for the presenter, so they would probably know that. It does have numbering and date on it. So that's a little bit about the three different masters, the SlideMasters that you have. And a number of different ways through design, through templates, and through SlideMasters to make your presentation more consistent and to make it a little bit easier and quicker to develop that presentation. Okay, anybody have any questions?
So we're open for questions. Ronnie, thank you so much. While we're waiting for the questions, why don't we see how we can get in touch with you, Ronnie.
Okay. So if you're interested in training either as an individual or for your company, please contact me at ronnie@computertrainingsolutions.biz, B-I-Z, or you can give me a call at 203-329-2421. I do work with companies on a half-day or full-day basis, and with individuals typically in a 3-hour session.